Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you with my. I'm supposed to do a Tesla video today. There's really not much going on, but I will do a "Where was I on 9/11" video. I've seen a bunch of people asking this on Facebook, stuff on Twitter. Despite how I look, I am not that old. So when 9/11 happened, I was actually pretty young. I was 10 years old and I was in fifth grade. That might make some of you feel a little old. That might make some of you feel like, wow, he's old. Still in my 20s. But it was a Tuesday. I don't know if it was a holiday the day before, but I think we had been in school for like a week maybe or something like that. And our teacher, Mrs. Leong, got pulled out of the class. And I think I know why she did this now. She got pulled out for a couple minutes and she told us, she's like, I was told not to tell you guys anything. I was told that you guys should be kept in the dark. And she basically just said, that's fucking bullshit. Because she was. I have ghosts in this house. Um, Told us that was bullshit. Because she had tenure. And she was like, I'm going to do what the fuck I want. There's nothing you can do. So she. I don't know if anyone remembers. She went down the library. And remember those TVs on the wheels? And whenever those came into your classroom, you knew it was going to be lit. Obviously not on this day. That's usually when you watch a movie. But this, she got one of those, and she was from China, so I think really she understands more than most how you should really be honest with your citizens and not keep things from them because that could lead to a very bad thing. So maybe she treated us a little older than what it should have been, but yeah, she brought that TV in, and uh, it was I think it was like nine. So the second tower had already been hit by this point, so we didn't see that live. Other people that saw it live saw it when they were reporting on the first tower was hit, and was hit. And I had been in the city like a couple of times by that point, so I was like, okay, I've heard of that. I don't know. Oh, okay, so the twin. As a New Yorker, but as a kid who wasn't really that familiar with the city, I knew what Twin Towers were and like the World Trades. I didn't know they were like the same thing. I was really stupid. And I was like, oh, okay. It was like that kid from The Sandlot where was like, Babe Ruth, that's the same guy. Yeah. So that was my. It's like, oh shit. And then I'm thinking like, oh, my dad works in the city. He was in. As a letter carrier, as a mailman, is miles away. He was in Maspeth, and actually told me that evening when he came home. He said, yeah, when I was out doing my route delivering the mail, he said that he thought there was just like a giant fire somewhere because really he saw smoke and he's like, that's really weird. And it wasn't until he got back into his break room in the post office, a bunch of people crowded around this like 20-inch TV. It's really small, and he's like, oh fuck, that's what I saw. So as we're in there, everyone starts asking questions. What is it like? And we're just following on the news, and the teacher's like, I don't know. Um, and that turned into a whole thing on like terrorism after that's what they finally said. And I was like, what the fuck is terrorism? Because like we didn't cover that part again. I was really young, and slowly but surely, all of these kids get caught. Because again, I grew up in Long Island, and we're about maybe probably less than where I was less than an hour away outside the city, maybe like 40-ish minutes. So these parents that are seeing this on TV, they're like, fuck, what happens if not that a terrorist would try to hit Long Island, but everyone's freaking out. So slowly throughout the day, kids kept getting brought out by the parents. Parents coming like, "Yep, you're coming home with me." So lunch was a little interesting because we went to the cafeteria and there was like half the kids that are normally there. I was like, "That was weird," and they wouldn't even let us fucking outside. Like it was to be honest, in hindsight, we probably should have stayed because the cafeteria was in the basement, so we all probably should have stayed there. Um, but yeah, like that's I remember us just as kids being like, can't even go outside. Like, can't. Yeah, that was a. Um, so we get back up to class. By the end of the day, there's maybe like me and like 8 other people in the class. Um, and I don't even know if the buses were running. They were running because I remember my mom. when I got home, just sitting on the couch watching it, petting my dog, and we had this like stupid bet going on of like whether because I very much a foodie, a fatty, a foodie. It was like about I bet you can't go 1 week without eating cookies or whatever. And not that I was like fat, um, but that's what I did. And I was like, I just wanted to like tell her, like at lunch I didn't eat a cookie, and she's like, well, I'm not gonna worry about that. There too many sad things happened today. I was like, oh, okay, fair point. I guess that's what we're doing. So I was petting my dog, and then the next day, I think there was I don't know if there was a delayed opening. We would go to school next. Yeah, it was the next day. We went to school, and there was this thing called. I grew up in Levittown, New York. This thing called LAP, called the Levittown After School Program, and we went there, and that was really weird too, because not a lot of kids went there, or most times a lot of them did, but after this, people were just like, "Hey, let's keep kids home for a couple of days." So, I think they tried to like distract us as best they could, because that was like a K-5 thing, after school, and so a couple of us older kids were kind of like discussing it, and then there was like a bunch of rules from like the workers that are like, yeah, don't talk to any like the younger kids about it, and it's like, this is really weird. So that was that. I remember having a couple of friends that were older than me that I just met on like the bowling team a few years later. I was like, oh, what was that like? And they said like in high school, because high school is different. Middle school and high school is different. When I was again fifth grade, I was in grade school, so we just had like one teacher, one thing, and then where you go class to class. And this one guy, Jesse, in high school, said like, yeah, when he was on 9/11, they would go class. No one would really do anything, except for that one teacher. I'm not gonna call her out on this, but she was very. She's like, all right, let's pretend like nothing happened and get to work. And he said like, are you fucking kidding me? And he just walked out. I was like, oh, he mad. Yeah, people deal with it differently. This It was different when I started serving too, because I met a bunch of people when I went to the military. I said like, no, this is I joined because of 9/11. I was like, fuck. Everyone serves for different reasons. Those people don't do that. My training instructor in basic training, he was like, I joined to get out of the house. I was like, oh, all right, and yeah, he made a career out of it. Some people join and you just can't do it for that long. What you do has a shelf life. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. That's kind of what happened. There was no. I want to say there was no travel. I think for that next. I think the stock market was closed for I don't know how many days after that. But for that day at least, there was no way to get in and out of the city. So I had a couple of friends who had parents that worked in the city, and the bridges were closed, the tunnels were closed, the trains were closed. There was nothing that, if you were there, you were there. You were stuck there for I don't know how long, but for I think the rest of that day or most of that day, the only way out of Manhattan was by boat. And I'll link a video that I try to watch every year. It's called Boat Lift. It's narrated by Tom Hanks. It's only like a 12 minute video. It's just kind of like how all these boats rescued a whole bunch of people. It's actually really cool to see what they did, what came together. But my uncle was a New York firefighter, and that was I remember him like I didn't see him for like months because he would basically come home to like maybe sleep for a few hours and then go right back. They were working I don't know how many fucking hours each week, but I think it's safe to say that firefighters and police guys were probably working, say, deployment hours. They were probably working 90, 100-hour weeks. I think the most I ever worked maybe was 90, but they were doing that for weeks at a time. Where it was 12 times 7. Yeah, 72. So maybe even deployed, you're only working maybe 80-ish hours a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Sometimes it was like 60 hours a week. Oh, this is great. It was never that low, but you know what I mean. But yeah, those guys, those guys are heroes. And I know nowadays, people are like, oh, Black Lives Matter, and which they do, and a lot of people are anti-police, and I think you could definitely be anti-bad police and also believe in Black Lives Matter, but also support good cops. I'm kind of in that camp. Um, but yeah, those guys were heroes of mine. And I think after 9/11, all of these, especially if you're a firefighter, you were just like a rock star. People bought you drinks. It was like kind of like being in the military. When you come home from deployment, the people buying you drinks. Oh, okay. I know this is running on a little long. That's just something that I felt I should talk about because I was New Yorker, and yeah, that was it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy. If you are out of the country, if you are in Canada, Australia, anywhere outside of the U.S., I'm actually really curious to hear how the news covered it in your areas, like where you're from. Let me know. I love you guys. I hope I will talk to you all soon. All right, bye.